Okay, sorry about the delay. Good morning and welcome to this 2020 entry DBGS University applications process. So this is a first step on a journey that you're going to have to take between now and actually entering university in September 2020. The first thing I want to talk to you about is choices. Choices as to, first of all, whether you want to go to university or not. It might sound a strange way to start a presentation about going to university, but I'm going to give you examples, personal examples, that will help you to focus whether you really want to go or not. So I have 4 children. The eldest son went to Liverpool University to study politics. He left after a term. He went back the following year, same university, Liverpool University, a Russell Group university, and to study criminology. Didn't like it. Didn't settle, left. The key is, university was not for him. I personally believe university is not for everybody. He's now successful in a career, did lots of on-the-job training. It worked for him. Second son went to Leeds Metropolitan University to study music technology. He went when the fees for local students were £3,000 a year. And in discussions we've had since, he said, if I had to pay £9,250 a year, I would not have gone. I would not have gone to study that course. Okay. Then we have daughter number 1. She went to Cardiff University, Russell Group University, to study biomedical science. Didn't want to study biomedical science, wanted to study medicine, but didn't get the grades in order to study medicine. She got AAB, and they required 3 A's. Massive disappointment. Tears, floods of tears, family uproar. Nothing was going right. Everybody is against me because she didn't get the grades required to go to university to do medicine. But she went to do biomedical science. She completed her biomedical science course, got a 2-1, and then took a gap year. Then applied to medicine and is now at Manchester University studying medicine. So the aim of the story is that you don't always get what you want first time. You have to persevere. Second daughter, not at university yet, but is starting at Oxford Brookes University in September of this year. She took a gap year after leaving school. She didn't know what she wanted to study at university. And rather than going at the end of her A-levels and not being happy or not choosing the right subject, she decided to take a year off. She didn't apply until her A-level exam results came out. So she could have gone in September of 2018, but she wanted that time. She's going to Oxford Brookes University in September to study psychology. She hasn't studied psychology before. She hasn't done A-level psychology, but she's had that time to think about what she really wants to study and making the choices that she wants to make at 19 rather than making those choices at 18. Okay, so that's from a personal background. I am not representing anybody apart from DBGS when I give this presentation. I'm not an agent for a university. I do have the agency qualification to support people applying to university, which is run by the British Council, but I'm not representing anybody except you, my students, when you apply for university. So you've got choices to make. And you need to think long and hard about the choices that you're going to make, because they're going to have a direct impact on you in the same way as they've had a direct impact on my family. Your first choice, decision that you need to make is, where am I going to study? And we've had students from DBGS go to universities in Pakistan, South Africa, Australia, the USA, Canada, the United Kingdom, Egypt, Turkey. So there's a whole range of different places you can go to. But I'm going to focus on these three here today, and specifically the United Kingdom. And you'll see why as we go through the presentation. One of the things that you need to bear in mind straight away is the cost. Okay? Now, the USA degree courses are undergraduate degree courses are generally 4 years. So you've got 4 years worth of cost. All these figures that I'm going to show you now come from the Times Higher Educational Supplement. So it's a UK magazine that's published weekly, and it gives you this information. And these figures are from 2017. So you have here average tuition in the USA, $33,215. You will find universities that are more expensive, you'll find universities that are cheaper. But the figure in brackets is the cost in pounds sterling. In addition to your tuition fees, you're going to have accommodation fees and you're going to have living expenses. And you can see from there the rough average of fees for a 4-year course in the United States of America. You can do the math. Okay, let's look at Canada. Okay, an increasingly popular choice with students from this school, primarily because I think it supports your application for immigration status to Canada. Average tuition for a home student, this is in Canadian dollars. An international student, and as far as I'm aware, you would all be classified as international students unless you're a Canadian passport holder. Yep. Tuition fees, accommodation fees, living expenses in Canadian dollars, and in brackets is pound sterling. And then we come to the United Kingdom. The average tuition fee for home-based students is $9,250. For international students, it very much depends on the course that you are studying. And that can range from £11,000 per year to £40,000 per year, depending on the course that you are studying. You will notice that the accommodation fees and the average living expenses are substantially lower than both the USA and Canada. And from my perspective, that will be something you'll be looking at. And most undergraduate courses in the United Kingdom are 3 years rather than 4 years. Unless, of course, you go to Scotland. And in Scotland, the degree courses are 4 years. So, you've got costs to think about. But do those figures actually mean anything to you until you bring it down to something that you recognize? So therefore, Everyone knows what a Big Mac is. Everyone goes to McDonald's. Here is your comparison of prices for a Big Mac in the USA, Canada, and the UK. And once again, you can see that the UK, you get better value for your money. Okay, now, the first frightening statistic from the Times Higher Educational Supplement, and from which magazine? 30% of students at UK universities in their first year believe that they have chosen the wrong course. Think about that. 30% believe of students in their first year at university believe they've chosen the wrong course. So that's why you need to make very careful and calculated decisions about what you are going to study at university. You need to think long and hard about the choices that you're going to make. Engineering and medical degrees in the UK are generally more expensive. They're more expensive because you have additional facilities that you need to use, which have to be funded by the university in order to follow those particular routes of study. At this point, I want to bring into your thoughts. Am I going to get value for money when I go to university? You are a consumer. You are paying money. And as a consumer, you want to get the best deal that you can. And to me, the best deal would be the longest hours of tuition per week for the price that I'm paying. If I'm paying £9,250 per year tuition and I'm getting 8, 9, 10 hours of lectures per week, and somebody else is getting 18, 19, 20 hours of lectures per week, who's getting the best value for money? So that's another choice you need to make, and in order to find that information out, you are going to have to research the universities that you are considering going to. Okay, as part of the application process, we use this particular admissions organisation for applications to the UK. And UCAS, the Universities and Colleges Admission Service, charge £20 plus VAT for their services. And for that, you get up to 5 choices at university. 5 different university choices. If you apply to the US or Canada, you pay per application to university. And I have one student currently in year 13 who has spent $850 applying to universities in Canada. He wants the range of choices, but in Canada and the US, you pay individually by university application. Big difference between 850 Canadian dollars and £24 including VAT. Okay? Once you sign up through the school to the UCAS application service, you will be billed individually for the £24. Clear? Okay, so these are the key dates that you need to be aware of. I've already set up the application process for your group for 2020. And I will open that on the 20th of May 2019. You will then, depending on where you're applying, have to fill in the UCAS application form If you're applying to Oxbridge or medical and veterinary courses, the key date is October the 15th. And if you're applying to any other course, it's January the 15th, 2020. Please do not leave it until the last moment to submit your application, because the site has been known to crash because people don't meet the deadlines. It doesn't mean you can't go to university, but it means you're subject to additional fees because it's a late application. Okay, so these are the key dates that you need to be aware of. And then we come to the application form itself. It's all done online. It's very, very simple. The personal details, very straightforward. But within the personal details will come whether you are a home status student or an international student. And that links to finances. If you are a home-based student, you will pay home fees. And to get that home-based status, you need to be a UK passport holder with ties to the United Kingdom. And those ties are very tenuous in terms of some universities will accept some things and other universities won't accept the same thing. Because each university within the United Kingdom is a standalone institution. It decides whether you are a home student or an international student. And you could well be accepted as a home student for one university, but classified as an international student at a different university. My answer to that is, well, if they classify you as an international student, you take that off the list of universities you wish to go to. The thing with regard to home status is that it also allows you access to student loans within the United Kingdom, that as an international student you wouldn't be open to. The choices, you have 5 choices on the UCAS application form. 5 universities. You don't have to rank them in order. They're all done alphabetically. And each university that you apply to doesn't know which other universities are on your list of 5. Okay? The 5 choices go to UCAS. UCAS then sends them off to each individual one to the different universities, and then those universities make a decision. It used to be the case before the electronic application process that you had to handwrite it, and you had to handwrite it in order, and therefore some universities would say, if you don't put me first, we're not going to accept you. But that's no longer the case. If you are applying for medicine, you only make 4 choices, and your 5th choice must be a non-medicine subject, so usually biomedical science. If you're applying to Oxbridge, you can't apply to both. It's got to be either Oxford or Cambridge. The choices of university kind of link closely with the choice of what you want to study. And that's another decision that you have to make. Because when it comes to the personal statement, you get 5,000 characters to write something about yourself and why you want to study that particular course. Now, if you're not certain what you want to do yet, that makes it incredibly difficult to write a personal statement. So you have to be making decisions about what do I really want to do and where do I really want to study it. And you need to link your personal statement with why you want to study that subject and why you want to study that subject at a particular university. Going back one to education. Under this, you would list your GCSE results, your AS level results, and there is a space where you put your pending A-level results. Because what happens is, once your A-level results come out, the exam board will send your results directly to the universities that you've applied to. So you have to be correct when you're putting in your GCSE results, your AS level results, and your pending A-level results. Your personal statement is 4,000 characters. It's not a great deal, but that's your opportunity to sell yourself to that university. Now, I'll be perfectly honest here. Some universities, on some courses, don't even bother looking at the personal statement. But if it's an oversubscribed course, and they have lots of students with the same GCSE, AS, and A-level grades, that's very much what will make the difference between you being accepted or rejected. Okay? And then finally, you've got the reference. Now, the reference needs to be from a teacher that is currently or will be teaching you next year. Because what universities are looking for in the reference is things like preferred teaching styles. How do you learn best? They're looking for things like examples of its outstanding pieces of work that you may have completed in your Year 12 or Year 13 program that someone who teaches you can make comments about. Someone that taught you 3 or 4 years ago, a teacher you might get on really well with, but doesn't teach you at the moment, is not going to be able to put that information into the reference. And with regard to the reference, once again, it's 4,000 characters that they get to write about you. And 4,000 characters is not a lot. So the process is you would write your personal statement, give it to your referee so that they can see what you've put in, so that they're not repeating what you put in your personal statement when they write the reference. Because you want the universities want additional information about you, not the same thing twice. Does that make sense? Okay. UCAS is a very helpful resource to use. And these are examples of short 5-minute videos, and they have a lot more than this that you really need to have a look at when you start this process of applying to university. Okay. I believe you have access to this presentation anyway. Yes? No? If you haven't, I'll make sure you get access to it. Now, I will throw it open to any questions that you have regarding the application process or anything that you need clarification on. Yes?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Applications. Okay. The university decides on your fee status.
Yes.
Right, independently, as you said.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the loan, if a student wants to apply for a loan,
Yes.
that's a completely separate decision by the loan body.
It is indeed.
Right. Independent of what the decision is of the university that students apply to.
What do you want the loan for? Is it a loan for tuition fees, or is it a loan for maintenance whilst you're at university? Because it's different.
Right.
And a different body will deal with each.
Yeah, I see. All right. Well, possibly just tuition fees.
Yeah. As an international student, tuition fees it is a major issue. You would have to prove that you have access to the funds in order to fund you through that 3-year program. I will go back to a previous student of mine at a previous school who went to Stanford University in the United States. He was a Bangladeshi student and had to prove up front that he had the fees to cover the tuition for 4 years in advance. Universities are businesses, so they want to make sure that they're getting the money out of the people that are availing themselves of the service. Yeah. Okay? Any other questions? You must have hundreds of questions, surely. Yes?
International students.
Yes.
Any of the universities?
They do.
Sorry, could we just have your
Yeah.
question again? If you want
Yeah.
to show the light. Thank you.
Okay. I was asking for international students. Do any of the universities have scholarship programs?
Yes. Most of the universities have scholarship programs and bursaries for international students. But they're not as substantial as you may think. If I give you an example, Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, they offer a £3,000 per year bursary for first-year international students going to their university. But it's only £3,000 for that first year. And once again, depending on what course you're doing, that can be quite a substantial amount, or it can be less than 10%. It's an issue. The courses that are more oversubscribed tend to be the ones that have the less bursaries for, because they can fill up the places with students that are paying the full fees. Once again, universities are businesses. So.
Tom, could I add something?
Yes.
Within Canada, if any of you, I know some of you are interested in, more than 70% of all scholarships available are unclaimed. So every international student and every student is able to apply. There was some examples of female-only scholarships that men would apply to and get because nobody else applied for it. So within Canada specifically, that rule doesn't apply. They just post them all online and you write a quick letter explaining why you're eligible or why you need it, and then they assign it to the students. They vary from $500 to $15,000, depending.
Mr. Swords, yes. Scottish universities,
Yes.
If you're an EU student, is there a different policy there in terms of fees?
I personally have an issue with this, and I'll explain why. Scottish universities charge European Union students £3,250 a year, but they charge English students £9,250 per year. Why is there that difference? Because Scottish students going to English universities would be charged £9,250 a year. The reason I have an issue with this is that the Scottish devolved Parliament choose to use their money to support higher education in Scotland, whereas the UK Parliament doesn't. So English taxes are being used to subsidise Scottish students going to universities or European Union students going to universities.
Yeah, we wrote to a Scottish university and their answer was, well, it wasn't very clear other than it will depend on the time of application, the decision they make on your fee status. They're really being a bit cagey about it.
I wonder if that is based on, we don't know what's going to happen post-Brexit.
Okay, but would it also depend on being able to clarify your residency status in the EU? Because obviously, say for our example is property there but not living there and so on.
Going back to residency status, and this is important with regard to getting UK home status or not. You have to prove links to the UK, or in your case, prove links to Greece. We are all temporary residents in Saudi Arabia. If we don't have a job, we cannot stay. If we don't have a work permit, we cannot stay. And the work permit is renewed annually, which to me and to lots of universities in the UK implies that you are a temporary resident in Saudi Arabia, so therefore your permanent residency is somewhere else. Okay?
Thank you.
Hi. Mrs. Swartz, now you mentioned about the first you need to check which area you would like to study.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. I have I always, think about which universities should I, apply. Because if you can, guide me to some areas where we can always see to which universities are the best. Because in terms of names, I'm not asking you to be biased, but I'm just telling you, just give me some guidelines on it.
Right. There are published annually university ranking lists. I would be very wary of those university ranking lists, because what criteria are they using to rank the universities? And generally speaking, it's research. And they would, so Cambridge, Oxford, Durham will be come out as the top three. What I would be, if I was in your position, what I would be far more concerned about with regard to rankings is graduate employability. Oxford Brookes University, 95% graduate employability on completing the psychology degree course that my youngest daughter is going to take part in. So that's what I was looking at. Oxford Brookes is not ranked in the top 50 universities in the UK, but 95% graduate employability to me means that she's benefiting from the study at that university. So be very careful when looking at university ranking lists. Any other questions or anything? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I see you focus more on universities in the UK.
I do indeed.
Can you
yeah.
tell us more about how things work in places like Canada?
In Canada,
Yes.
my Canadian colleague.
So within Canada, you are able to apply by province. So, for example, within Ontario, which holds the most amount of universities kind of condensed, you apply to one place and you have 5 universities that you can choose, or 5 different programs even within one university. If you want to apply to other provinces or territories, nobody goes to the territories, but you apply to that province. You are able to do individual, so I have a lot of students who apply to Ontario and then also to one university in Vancouver, British Columbia, on the opposite side. So that's where that extra fee comes in. As an international student, they have a specific way of going about it for international students. So it's similar to the UCAS application. It's all done online. You upload all of your documents. It's all there and easy for you. It depends on the province. So there's different ones for each province. So there's one for university, one for Ontario, one for Quebec, one for British Columbia, and they're all different, just because it's such a wide space.
We're kind of coming to the end of the session. If you have any further questions or anything I can help you with regarding the application process, please contact me at school. I'll do everything I can to support your application. I don't know whether Year 12 are aware, but next year I will be your form teacher so that I can monitor your application process over the final year of your school education at DBGS. So it helps you and it helps me. Yes? 4,000 characters. Yes, characters, yes. It's very short. It's practically a side of A4. It's not a great deal. Yes? Yeah, we can do that, yeah? Yep. Okay, thanks very much for coming.